Welcome to the Man to Man Sports Podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Ethan, and this week we're going over Week 10. This was a crazy week. We got a couple of good segments for you. But we start off with Dawg or Dud.
All right, Dawg or Duds. That's where we pick the best standout players for the Week 10. And we're going to start out with defense. And this week we're going with a tandem. And that's the defensive line of Tyrese Knight and DeMarcus Lawrence of the Seattle Seahawks. What a performance.
Yeah, Tyrese Knight getting 2 sacks for 2 forced fumbles, and DeMarcus Lawrence picking both of those up and returning them for touchdowns. That's what really separated them at the start of that game.
Yeah, and how do you pick one over the other? Because you don't have the touchdowns without the forced fumbles. So pretty awesome teamwork right there.
Yeah, very, very good.
But those two guys, Tyrese Knight, DeMarcus Lawrence, this week they were dogs. All right, moving on to the running back position. There's no question who the best running back was this week, and that is Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor putting up 286 total yards and 3 touchdowns. He about had 300 yards. So you know how total points, usually a kicker's leading in total points over the season?
Yes.
Right now, Jonathan Taylor is leading. That's how many points he scored for his team this season.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Let's see if he can maintain it. For me, he is this year's MVP as of right now. Of course, things can always change. But for Week 10, Jonathan Taylor was a dog. All right. Moving on to the receiving position, we've got tight end for the St. Louis Cardinals. For the Arizona Cardinals, Trey McBride. What a performance by him in a losing effort.
Yeah, it's tough that they lost, but he put in his work like he was supposed to.
Yeah, he was tied for the league in catches this week. He was second in yards this week, and he got a touchdown all in a losing effort. You can't fault him because Trey McBride is a dog. All right. And then moving on to our dud this week, we had a lot of duds we had to choose from, but ultimately we went with quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Certainly a rough week for him. 12 of 28, first of all. And then a crucial fumble loss. And then he was 1 for 5 on third downs. You can't win ball games like that.
Yeah, the fumble really hurt him because the following drive, Colts took that for a touchdown at 7 points. This game went into overtime, and he was still 12 of 28. It's impressive by Atlanta's defense, but they've got to fix some stuff.
Yeah, Atlanta's defense probably played their best game of the year, but it was not enough in this effort due to the poor performance by their quarterback.
Yep.
All right, and that's our Dog or Dud segment for this week. What's next?
We're going to jump right into the recap. We're going to start with Las Vegas at Denver. Denver taking this one 10-7. Both punters had a lot of work in this game as this was a defensive battle. And Bo Nix, again, not showing up for his team, throwing 2 more interceptions.
Yeah, he was certainly in contention for Dud of the Week as well,
Yeah.
but his team got the winning effort, so we let him slide this time. But certainly the Broncos' defense was the reason they won this football game.
Yeah, great defensive battle. Las Vegas defense showed up too, not to put any disrespect on their name, had a good week.
Yeah, the Raiders really playing hard despite the trades. I was very impressed by them putting in a solid effort. Just wasn't enough against this Bronco defense.
So we'll move on to our next game, a game in Berlin, Atlanta at Indianapolis. And the Berlin fans came out in all blue and white, huge Colts fans down there. This game went into overtime where the Indianapolis Colts take it 31-25. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to say the Europeans really got a treat here. This was such a great football game. Atlanta really showing up and playing their hearts out on the defensive end. But ultimately the Colts were the better team, and Jonathan Taylor could not be stopped.
Yeah, I already talked about Jonathan Taylor, but their new addition, Sauce Gardner, also having a good game.
Yes.
Holding Sauce Gardner holding Drake London to under 30 yards and just a couple of receptions. He had a bunch of tackles in this game.
Yeah, the dude just walked right off the plane and played his butt off. So happy to be on a winning team, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, he had a good game. The big difference in this game was the Colts gave up 4 turnovers in this game, but the Falcons offense had 0 points off those turnovers, where the Falcons had only 1 turnover in this game, but gave up 6 points off of it. That was really the turning point as this finished up being a 6-point game.
That's right. The Colts put in a solid effort stopping Bijan Robinson and putting pressure on Michael Penix, and ultimately that's what wins the football game.
Yeah, yep. And so we move on to our next game, the first 1 o'clock game, Cleveland at New York against the Jets. The Jets taking this one 27-20. Will McDonald had an amazing week this week, 4 sacks that propelled his team to victory.
Jets, I gotta say, were impressed. Another team that I thought might be just kind of giving up with the trades. They come out and they play a team that's pretty equal to them, and they really played hard. The defense played outstanding. Brees Hall put in a solid effort. Just get a good win here. A second one in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So that, my friends, is called a winning streak.
Yep, 2 in a row. We'll move on to the next game, Jacksonville at Houston. This was a crazy game. Houston beating Jacksonville 36-29. Jacksonville giving up 26 unanswered points all in the fourth quarter to end up losing this game.
I got to say, Nico Collins come in with a good effort, over 136 yards receiving and 7 receptions. The Houston offense looking better this week for sure, and the defense playing solid football.
Jacksonville did a really good job this week. Just need to play all fourth quarters. They played 3 quarters really well, and then you could tell Liam Cohen after the game was really mad.
It was very disappointing at the end of the game when you get your last shot that Trevor Lawrence couldn't get the ball off to give him a shot in the air. I think when it comes down to it, sometimes you just got to let it fly and see what happens.
Yeah, him not getting the ball off in time led to Danielle Hunter having 3.5 sacks this week.
Yeah.
He's a big week this week, and he was a big reason why Trevor Lawrence was scared to get that ball off.
He was very impressive. Him and Will Anderson, I think, both played a very solid football game. I think this Houston team is certainly on the rise.
Yeah, and the next game being Buffalo at Miami. Miami taking this one 30-13. Devon Achane was the star of this game, as we said. 28 carries, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Had a great game. This game is really a head-scratcher for me. I thought the Bills would come out and really play some good football against a lesser team. But the Dolphins could not be denied here. Achane having a big game. The Dolphins defense playing their butts off this week.
Yeah, you can't blame Josh Allen, though, who threw for over 300 yards. He had a great week this week. Just didn't get it done. Yeah, this is what we've been seeing, a little bit of inconsistency from Buffalo this year. As Nick Wright said, they had this feeling like they just won a Super Bowl coming off beating the Chiefs, and they just weren't prepared for a lesser Miami team. Josh Allen is now 7-3 in his career against Miami.
That's an interesting stat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, before this game, he was averaging the most touchdowns thrown against like a single team, like ever.
Right.
Yeah, him against Miami, but this put a damper on their stats. Miami really keyed in this week on not letting up like the bigger plays.
Yeah, he did throw 2 touchdowns in this game, though. He had a solid performance. Unfortunately, the Bills couldn't really get any other offense generated other than Josh Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, so we move on to our next game. We got New England at Tampa Bay. New England taking this one 28-23.
Very impressive win by New England. We said this is the game here where they can kind of prove their worth. They certainly did. They really put it to the Bucs. And the Bucs really played hard football, but the Patriots, at the end of the day, just looked like a better team. And then, of course, Travion Henderson having his breakout game this week, 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. The backbreaker touchdown, I might add, at the end of the game.
Yeah, only on 14 carries as well, so he averaged over 10 yards per carry. Patriots finally got their run game started in this game, and I think that kind of caught the Bucs off guard, and so that was a big reason that they won. But of course, what makes a good team in December and January is being able to run the ball and stopping the run. They've been able to stop the run all season. Again, doing it in this game, holding the Tampa Bay running backs to under 100 yards rushing, and They just needed to get the run game started, and they finally got the first step to that this week. Travion Anderson showing that he could be that big dog rather than Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, this Patriots defense really done a commendable job against these running backs, but not just them. They also done a great job bottling up Baker. They frustrated him, pressured him, but they didn't let him break loose for these big runs that he's done all year.
Yeah, that was a big thing. 3rd and Baker, him being able to get out of the pocket and get a first down. You could tell he was trying to do that this week, but New England was getting there way too quick.
Yeah, great game plan by New England, and very impressive win, I'll say that.
Yeah, very impressive win. I finally have respect on their name, but Abuko is not fazed by that. 6 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown, being the last good stat for that Tampa Bay team this week. And so we'll move on to the next game. Sure. New York Giants at Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears taking this one 24-20. Giants firing Dayball after the game. And I think it was based on this decision that he made that costed his team the win this week. The Giants kicked a field goal at the 1-yard line, which the Bears were called for too many men on the field for, which it leads to an automatic first down. Dayball deciding to not take the free first down and take the 3 points instead. I think you get 3 more plays to get a touchdown at the 1-yard line and to run off some clock, and you're already up by almost 10 points. That would put you up by 14 points. That was a big point of the game.
Yeah, and actually it was on the 1 before the penalty, so now you're half the distance. So you're 1.5 yards from pay dirt.
Yeah.
I thought that was an insane call. Me and you were watching it together, and we're like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
And
as we said, when that happened, I was like, Chicago's going to make a comeback here. It's too much time on the clock, and they're playing it too safe.
It made me think of an old Dennis Green quote where he says, the Bears were what we thought they were, but we let them off the hook. The Giants had them dead to rights.
Yeah.
And they let them off the hook. And kudos to Caleb Williams for putting together 2 scoring drives, and the Bears come back and win this game.
Yeah, Caleb looked really good in this game. Caleb Williams, 283 total yards and 2 total touchdowns. He looked really good. He's looked really good the past 2 weeks. I think he's really coming in his own in this Ben Johnson offense.
He showed a lot of frustration at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. And these last 2, especially this game, I thought was his most impressive game of the season. Maybe not statistically, but he was playing against a good defense here, and he never got frustrated. He kept his foot on the gas, and when you do that, good things happen.
Yeah, Brian Burns being in the lead with Myles Garrett, tied right now for first in sack race right now. That's 2 big names, and you were going up against them. You didn't let it phase you. You kept your composure and kept throwing the ball. Roman Dunze being a big part of this offense this week, also having 90-plus yards. Yeah,
they've really done a good job with Moore being banged up, getting him and Colston Loveland and the other tight end, the ball more.
Yeah,
Cole Kmet, yeah, and it's really paid off for this offense.
Yeah, Ben Johnson loves those 2 tight end sets. He has 2 good tight ends there.
He does, great tight ends, and he really can. He knows how to get in that bag too. He is a offensive minded. I would put him up there as one of the best offensive minds in the league. I'm not saying he's the best, but I'd say he's top 5 in my book.
Top 5 easily. I agree with that. Yeah, and so we'll move on to the next game. That was a great game there. The next game being Baltimore at Minnesota. Minnesota losing this one 19-27. Baltimore wins.
Yeah, Ravens winning a scrappy game here. I thought the Vikings would win this game. I obviously was wrong. Both teams played good. I do feel like the Vikings got started off behind the 8 ball with the controversial call on Adam Thielen at the start of the game. But I really liked both these teams looked good in this game. I was very impressed with both defenses. And really, he come out on a losing effort. He made some mistakes. But J.J. McCarthy continues to impress me as a pro quarterback.
I thought he looked really good. He threw 2 interceptions this week, which I think did cost him the game. But he never put his head down. I really commend that. I don't think this is going to affect him for the rest of the season. I think he's going to motivate him. I think next week he comes out even better.
Well, and they done a good job shutting down Justin Jefferson this week.
Oh, yeah, and Jordan Addison, their two top receivers, but J.J. McCarthy did a good job relying on his number 3 receiver, Jalen Naylor, who not many people have heard of.
Yeah.
That's a big job to get him 100 yards when your other two receivers get locked down.
Well, he was the number 1 draft pick that the Eagles gave up on.
Yeah.
Traded him away for nothing to Minnesota, a year, maybe 2 years ago.
2 years, I think. But
and he's kind of been riding the bench, but he has potential, and JJ was able to find him, for a click of 124 yards this week. So certainly his best game as a pro, I would say.
Yeah, very good game. That was a good game by Minnesota. Just a losing effort against this Baltimore team, which is on the rise.
Yeah.
Hoping to win the AFC North this year and make the playoffs as the Steelers. It's going to be a really close race. Most of these teams, I think, are going to be around 9 to 10 wins.
Well, and the Ravens are on a 3-game win streak now.
Yeah.
They've got their quarterback back, and the Pittsburgh, they just seem to be so up and down and erratic. And then you got the Bengals hanging around. If Burrow can get back, who knows who's going to win this division?
Yeah, it's very up in the air, all within 2 games of each other. It's a really fun race to watch, that one. We had New Orleans at Carolina, and New Orleans taking this one 17-7 in a surprising one. But Chris Olave said, "Thank you for trading away Rashid Shaheed. I'm the number 1 receiver here, putting up 5 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown in a great defensive game." Chris Olave stands out.
I thought you were going to tell me something I didn't know, like Chris Olave didn't like Rashid Shaheed or something.
That kept you on the string.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah, this was another head scratcher for me. I thought the Panthers, who've looked good the last 3 weeks, really, come in here and lay an egg against the Saints. But, got to give a shout out to Tyler Shough, a rookie quarterback who I've not been impressed with at all. Comes out those 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a QBR of 128.9 this week. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it looked much better than Jordan Love did last week against this Carolina defense.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, I think he just knows Carolina doesn't like to give up those big plays, and Tyler Shough did a good job just taking what he was given.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, especially when you're a rookie quarterback. You don't have the most talented team. You have to take what's given, and it's hard for young players to do. They want to make that big play all the time, or they get panic and they chuck it up in the air. He was able to keep his composure and play a solid football game, and this Saints defense played good football.
Yeah, both defenses played well this week. Yeah. We'll see if Tyler Shough can keep it up in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll see what's to come with this.
Yeah, interesting story. But we move on to the next one. Arizona at Seattle. Seattle taking this one 44-22 in a not-so-close game. As we talked about, Tyrese Knight and DeMarcus Lawrence were the reasons they won this game this week.
Because the Seattle's defense was so dominant against this Cardinals offense.
Yeah, they came out firing this week. JSN had 4 receptions and 80-some yards and a touchdown in the first quarter. Yeah. And then they didn't really have to throw anymore because they were up by so much. So he ended with 5 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. It's still a good game. He's still on pace to hit 2,000 yards this year.
And Charbonnet had a very impressive touchdown run near the end of the game that kind of sealed the deal for the Cardinals, running over a couple players to get in the end zone. I like plays like that.
Yeah, it's a fun one. The Seahawks running game this week really well. They ran the ball 46 times, which is crazy.
That is a lot this day and age.
Yeah, 46 times for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Wow, and not, as you said earlier, not really using Kenny Walker as much, going more with Charbonnet and the third stringer.
That's that game. We move on to the next game. Detroit at Washington. Detroit taking this one, same score, 44-22. These 4 o'clock games were not very fun to watch.
No.
A couple of blowouts, but Jared Goff was a beneficiary of that, throwing 320 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Jahmyr Gibbs also having a good game, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Everything that could go wrong for Washington did go wrong. More players hurt. They lose Trey Amos for the rest of the year. He was their best corner coming into this game on the season. He's done now. Deron Payne, certainly probably a suspension coming, certainly a fine coming. Probably as well for Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah, can't touch a ref.
Can't touch a ref. There's a pitiful performance by Washington, and I hear that they are taking Dan Quinn has taken the play calling over for the defense for the rest of the year now.
Well, that's good. I do think we need some changes to the defense, major changes, and this year's over, so they really got to look for next year. A blowout for sure, and then so we'll move on to the next game, being LA Rams at San Francisco. San Francisco took this one earlier in the year, but this game wasn't very close. Rams took it 42-26. Matthew Stafford putting up numbers for an MVP. I really think him and Jonathan Taylor, the MVP race right now for me, putting up 280 more yards and 4 more touchdowns, having the best touchdown to interception ratio in the league.
Yeah, his age is not a factor here. Tom Brady said, "Hey, you got at least another good 4 to 6 years left in you," jokingly, to Matthew Stafford. The Rams team looks like the best team in the league right now.
Yeah.
Defense is clicking, offense is clicking, and this game was never really close.
No, it was not. The Rams deserved that one for sure. We move on to our next game. Pittsburgh at LA against the Chargers. Chargers taking this one 25-10. Aaron Rodgers having his worst game of the season, throwing 2 more interceptions.
Chargers looked great in this game.
Yeah, they did.
I picked them in this game merely because they were at home and they were well rested. They really showed out on this game. They made Aaron Rodgers look like an old man.
Yeah, he is an old man. They really showed that this week. But I think he was holding the ball a little bit too long too. The Chargers defense got there a couple of times, and you can't be taking hits at his age.
No, especially as many as he took. This Chargers defense, though, really much improved from from the middle of the season, I should say, coming into this end. If they can continue to play like they played against the Steelers, they could win the West. They could really maybe be playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think their O-line needs to get healthy, and then I would say they're definitely in that race. But they're definitely a playoff team. They're playing like it.
It's a shame because they have a lot of players hurt too in the running back room and the tackle room, and so I'd like to have been able to see this team fully healthy and what it could do.
Yeah, we've seen it earlier this year. They were really good. We move on to the last game of the week, Philadelphia at Green Bay, and Philadelphia taking this one in a great defensive game, 10-7.
Both defenses played their heart out. Both offenses did not look good. I don't really have much to say about this. The better team won the football game.
Yeah, I think the addition of Phillips to that defense, it showed all game. Yeah. He was disruptive in that game, and there were some great call-outs by the defense. They were just well prepared. They did a little they canceled a play to another play on a 3rd down, and the Eagles called it out before the play even happened. They said, inside zone this way, and then the whole defense knew what was happening, and they blew up Josh Jacobs in the backfield on the inside zone play.
I mean, that's impressive preparation right there, and I think that's what separates the Eagles from most teams in the league. I think they are they kind of had a lackluster middle there, and they have really rebounded, and I think between them and the Rams, probably the best 2 teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah, another reason why the Eagles are just different is their GM is one of the most aggressive GMs in the league.
Yes.
I mean, these trades really helped the team out in places that they needed help, and that's one thing like the Steelers and the Bills can't say when they had the chance to do something at this trade deadline when they know they needed it. They didn't get the job done, and it showed this week that Pittsburgh and the Bills need more to become a contender like the Eagles and the Rams.
Yeah, and the Eagles, the rich just get richer. I mean, they just get bringing more and more talent.
Yeah, the Eagles' defense causing 2 turnovers, winning the turnover battle for a game that's this close is huge.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when you're 2 great defenses, that's usually going to be the 2 factors are usually going to be turnover battle, time of possession.
Yeah.
And the Eagles were able to do that because of the turnovers.
Because of the turnovers, I agree. This game still came down to a last-second field goal, though, that could have sent the game to overtime and made this game a little bit longer. But McManus missed a 63-yard field goal to send the game to overtime.
Kind of hard to blame a guy for missing a 63-yarder.
Yeah, on a cold night.
Yeah.
It's windy. It's
kicking
hard.
that ball was probably like kicking some concrete. I mean, I can't fault him for that. The Packers just could not get it any closer.
Yeah, the Eagles defense did a really good job there at the end of the game. And that is our Week 10 games. And so we move on to our top 10 teams.
All right, top 10 trending dogs this week. We've had a little bit of shake-up, but not a lot. I'll start out. We've had 3 teams drop out this week. But coming in at number 10, back on the list for the first time in several weeks, is those Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers at 10. I think they're deserving of it. They, like we said, they're contenders if they get healthy. At number 9, same division, of course, we got Denver at the number 9 spot as they are 1 game ahead of the Chargers. We didn't want to move them up after a very poor offensive game, and that's been their concern all year, and so we couldn't move them up. The defense is still number 1 in the league.
Yeah, they beat a bad Raiders team by 3 points.
Yeah.
In my book, you don't move up for that. So going on to number 8, also dropping 5 spots this week. They're lost to the Dolphins, and that's the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, a bad loss for the Bills. You drop a lot of spots here, and it's deserving. But we'll move on to our number 7 team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is a big matchup this week. That's why we did that. Tampa Bay and Buffalo play in this week 11, and so let's see who wins and see who moves up and who falls out.
That's right. We have the Bucs dropping back 5, so they're side by side. They play each other this week. This was my preseason Super Bowl, was the Bucs and Bills. So I'm excited to watch this game, and I think whoever wins this game will propel themselves up the ladder, and the other team may drop out of the top 10. We'll see how the game goes. All right, so moving on to number 6, we said, hey, they needed to have that big win to get on the list. They did it. Number 6, for the first time all year being on our list, is the New England Patriots with their win over the Bucs.
Yeah, they've beaten the Bucs and the Bills. 2 big wins. The thing I wanted to see was they lost to the Raiders earlier in the season, and they only had 1 good win. And so now that they have 2 good wins, really offsets. They are a good team. They are beating the teams they need to beat, and I'm looking forward to the New England Buffalo game later in the season. Our number 5 team this week in our top 10 list, on to the top 5, and number 5 is the Indianapolis Colts, winning a close game. They've done it a lot this year, and their defense looks even better now with the addition of Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor still looking like MVP. They move up 2 spots, and deservedly so. Also moving up 2 spots to number 4, the Detroit Lions with a big win over the Commanders.
Yep, Detroit looking good. Yep, and Detroit goes against our number 3 team in the Week 11 matchup. Number 3 team being the Philadelphia Eagles off a good win against Green Bay.
Yeah, climbing up a spot because they beat another top-tier team in the Packers, even though it was kind of a low-scoring affair. No one kind of stood out dominant. They did beat a top-tier team. They move up a spot. Moving up 3 spots to number 2, though, very deservingly with 2 weeks in a row with very impressive blowouts, and that's the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep, like we've talked about, look really good, but not as good as the number 1 team, the Los Angeles Rams. I like that we have 2 NFC West teams up here, proving that this is the best division in football.
Without a doubt. I mean, you can even make an argument that the 49ers are a good team as well. So the top, and then the Cardinals, who got blew out in this game, won last week against the Cowboys. So it definitely shows that the NFC West is the most competitive division in the league this year.
Yep, and Rams Seattle play this week too, so we have a bunch of top 10 matchups in this next week. I'm going to be looking forward to them. It's going to really switch up next week's rankings.
Yeah, very exciting. Of course, if you pay attention and you notice the Steelers, the Packers, and the Chiefs all fell off the list this week, and we'll see if they can climb back in. Top trending teams are my favorite segment, but I also love when we do the trivia questions.
Yeah, we move on to our trivia question this week, and so this week we had a player have a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown on the New York Jets, and we were wondering who were the last 3 players to have a kick return and a punt return touchdown in the same game, and not counting, of course, the guy who did it on Sunday. Do you have any guesses for it?
I honestly have no idea who it is, so I'm just going to pull out the bag. And, of course, the first person pops in my brain anytime you talk about returners, and that is the great Hall of Famer Devin Hester.
Yes, Devin Hester is on this list a couple of times, But Devin Hester is number 4 in the most recent one who done it. Yeah, he did it in 2007. These 3 have done it since 2007.
Wow, so these are fairly recent. I was thinking of older return guys, so that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, there's more before Devin Hester than after, for sure.
I really don't know. I'm gonna go with I know this guy had 2 kick returns in the game, so I'm gonna guess Naheem Hines.
Naeem Hines, he did have 2 kick returns, but I guess he didn't have a punt return. He is not on this list.
Oh man, that's a bummer. Okay, so my last pick. I'll just guess Rashid Shaheed.
No, not Rashid Shaheed. I guess he has not done it as well. So we have all 3 still left.
Man.
Yeah, we'll let you know in the next episode what those answers are. Make sure to comment who you think it is. Yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
All right. And so that's our episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And if you got any ideas for the show or answer to the quiz, please give us a few comments.
Yeah.
All right. Deuces.
So do we want to talk about Jets New England? We have to talk about Kansas City Denver, right? Yeah.
I feel like we should, yeah.
You want a minute?
Sure. Thank you, sir. So Bobby coached the Olympic team, and Jordan was on. This is when Jordan was a sophomore, or he was sophomore in college. He's on the Olympic team, 84 or something like that. And they're just beating the shit out of this foreign team. I don't know who it is. And he's sitting here thinking, what the heck am I going to say at halftime? These guys are doing everything right. So as they're walking to halftime, he looks at the stat sheet. He walks in there and goes, Michael, didn't I tell you you need to start setting those picks and then rolling out? You haven't been doing that all game. He said, Coach, you didn't see me do it? He goes, no. He says, it's because I'm doing it that fast.